Hello and welcome to the show. Today it is Game On News Central TV. I am Eto'o CAF. We promise you to be an exciting one as we look forward to exactly what's happening in the Champions League. And of course, earlier today, news broke right there as we heard that Nigeria's Football Federation president, former president, talking about Amaju Pinnick, he lost the FIFA seat right there where they had the CAF and FIFA Council, and it has caused a lot of reactions all over social media. Nigerian fans, sports fans from across the world, and we'll be delving into the matter right here on the show. Remember, you can catch us on social media and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at News Central TV, and then watch us on your several platforms, StarTimes, DSTV, and latest one, it has to be GoTV channel 23. I'm not alone in the studio. I've got Onyewichi right here in the studio. And of course, it promises to be an exciting time with the man who drops nuggets of wisdom. Welcome to the show, Onyewichi.
Always a pleasure, Odoka. You are stuck with me today. So,
I will survive. I will definitely survive. All right, we'll be talking about exactly what happened right there, talking about the CAF FIFA Council. And we have other guests joining us to also delve into the matter. Now, for Cameroon Football Federation President Samuel Eto'o, he has secured a seat on the Confederation of African Football Executive Board and the committee unopposed at the 14th CAF Extraordinary General Assembly in Cairo. The Cameroonian Barcelona legend and who also serves as president of FECAFOOT, that is the Cameroon Football Federation. He was initially barred from contesting the Central African region seat due to alleged governance issues. However, after a successful appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, the ruling was overturned, clearing his path to the election. Now, his victory also solidifies his authority in African football administration, complementing his growing leadership position in the sport. Onyewichi, today we've seen different angles of these stories, but let's start off with what happened with Samuel Eto'o. This is one man who has faced a lot of criticism from Cameroon. There was a time he even threatened to quit the role of president of the FECAFOOT, but hey, they said he has to continue, that you have to lead us because they believe so much in him. He also faced issues contesting for this election now, and he has actually overcome.
Yeah, it shows Samuel Eto'o's sagacity, his resilience. I mean, he has been very, very rugged. Like you alluded to the fact that the Court of Arbitration in sports reinstated him in the ballot few weeks ago. So it shows the journey, how very tedious it has been for him. He also had problems at home, especially with the Ministry of Sports in Cameroon, as regards appointment of the coach for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. So it shows that he has learned, he has evolved, from that, the transition from a very high-profile footballer into an administrator has been very seamless. And permit me to say, Udoka, that I think some of our ex-footballers here should learn from Samuel Eto'o. The entitlement, philosophy is not going to help. Samuel Eto'o actually earned the plaudits. He actually worked for it. He invested resources and time. So you don't just sit down somewhere and say, because you have played football, then you should be handed, this should be handed to you on a platter of gold. You have to grab it, you have to work for it. And that's what Samuel Eto'o has shown. Traveling around the continent. I think a few days ago, he met our Flamingos at the Oliver Tambo International Airport in South Africa. So it shows that he has been up and about, traveling around the continent, meeting people, investing his personal resources, and that is, for me, that's the way to go. You don't just sit down somewhere. Nobody's going to hand over the NFF presidency or CAF seat or FIFA seat on a platter of gold. You need to work for it. You need to invest time and resources. You need to meet the people who knows, who matters before getting to the top.
You talk about sense of entitlement, and I'm beginning to wonder, which of these ex-footballers or ex-football current ones are even vying for that position? Because a lot of sports journalists keep on saying that if we want to run football right, if we want to run sports right in this country, then we need those who have actually played the game, who have been there, who are legends of the game. They are the ones who are supposed to run the sports. And they seem to, or rather, they have to actually go through some sort of education on how to be a leader in that, because being a football player or whatever kind of sport you participated in is different from you actually leading that federation?
It's not sacrosanct. Even in the coaching careers, that you play football don't necessarily mean that you're going to be successful as a coach. The same thing with administration. Roka has been part of a committee, a very powerful committee in NFL some years ago, and the talk is that some of these ex-internationals that have indicated interest in sports administrations, they are included in some of these committees to learn, to fraternize, to meet people in the football community, in the football circle, but they don't attend meetings. They always wait for motivation in terms of pecuniary reasons. They must get something. They are sure that money will be available before they attend meetings. But these other people they look down upon that eventually become very influential in the football world. They invest resources, they invest time, they attend these meetings, and these decisions are taken during these meetings. So that has been the case against the ex-footballers. The only time you see them very active is when maybe perhaps one of them tried to organize a football match for top politicians, a very rich man, and they come around and play and collect money. But that's not going to help. That's not going to help them. You must attend. Football is like a cabal. You must break into it. You must earn their trust. They must also see that you are trustworthy before you get votes. So you are not going to sit at home and say, because I play football and therefore it should be handed to me on a platter of gold. It doesn't work that way. The likes of Kalusha Abuaya, who also became Zambia Federation President, although he coached them before that time, also worked for it. He went around, learned through the ropes, got people to trust him, attended meetings and all that before he rose to that position. So you are not going to sit down somewhere and it will just come to you.
Definitely. You just reminded me of village meetings. Because if you don't pay your dues, if you don't participate, if you don't attend these meetings, you will not know exactly what's happening. You're
not going to get conversant with the statutes of football. So that's why it's easy sometimes, even when they try to run, they are disqualified because they are not acquainted with the rules of football.
Visibility is also a key one for these members who want to run for positions like this. Now let's talk about the CAF presidency himself, talking about Patrice Motsepe. He has been re-elected unopposed as the president of the Confederation of African Football, and this also happened at the CAF and FIFA Congress. And now he's running for the second term, having a 4-year term in his bag. Now his re-election was confirmed at the 14th CAF Extraordinary General Assembly in Cairo on Wednesday, securing his leadership until the year 2029. Motsepe's first term was marked by financial stability and record-breaking achievements, including 1.4 billion global viewers of the Africa Cup of Nations in 2023, and prize money for major CAF tournaments also saw significant increases. Now, the 63-year-old faced no opposition after the nomination deadline passed in November 2024. His re-election highlights the confidence that, of course, CAF's member associations in his leadership as he continues efforts to elevate African football on the global stage. Now, Onyuchi, unopposed, Patrice Motsepe is still the current and the running and the next CAF president. He continues a 4-year term. Do you agree with this small matter of having no opposition running for election? Are we saying that there is nobody in the whole of Africa that can do better? Yes, we know that Patrice Motsepe has done well for football in Africa, but is there anyone on the continent that can actually surpass what Motsepe has set up?
Look, this is politics, and football people will always vote for football people. You have 54 members in CAF, and when you feel the pulse, maybe some people wanted to throw their heart into the rings, but as seasoned politicians, you feel the pulse. You go around, you ask questions, and maybe his would-be opponents will have discovered that they had no chance. So that it doesn't make sense, no economic sense, wasting time, wasting resources, to contest, and you are going to lose in flying colors. So I think Motsepe has also shown that there's a paradigm shift. In the past, it was football people. What I mean is that maybe the federation presidents that emerged as CAF president. But he has a businessman, a mining billionaire, from the business sector, although he used to own a club in South Africa, one of the best run clubs in South Africa. But he came with that private sector mentality. And you see what he has done with CAF, increasing prize money for almost all the tournament, even for the women's, the African Women's Cup of Nations, the CAF club for the women, they've been able to get more money. So football is about money. And so why wouldn't they vote for him? When almost every federation, your club, your countries, you participate in tournaments and you win more money, you can use that money to develop sports, football in your country. So I think he has done well, and it's only very logical for him to return unopposed. But let's see what happens in the next 4 years, whether some other contestants will muster enough courage to convince the other CAF members to vote for them.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. But for now, of course, Patrice Motsepe remains the CAF president and he still retains his seat right there at the FIFA Congress. Let's hear from the man himself, Patrice Motsepe.
One of the things that we are doing as African football is to present the case, to persuade, to convince, to make governments, to make heads of state understand that investing in a stadium, spending money on football development, investing in football infrastructure is enormously beneficial for the country, for the people of those countries, and for the economic development of Africa. You cannot develop football in any country in Africa if the national team and the clubs do not play football in front of their supporters, in front of their fans, and in front of their people. So we've made big progress. There is currently only 12 nations in Africa. Out of the 37, 38 that were not playing in their countries, there's only 12. Football, the feedback I was given, football in Cameroon is divided. So we need them to unite. And Samuel Eto'o has been elected as one of the leaders, and what is important is we've got to support him and support those who've been elected, including those who are part of a different grouping, bring them all together.
But as you know, we have been able to increase substantially the forward program, the solidarity contribution for all of you. We moved them from where they were some years ago at $250,000 a year to over $2 million a year. There will be 147 African players playing in the FIFA Club World Cup this year. And these 147 African players will play for 16 clubs from all 5 continents, and they will represent actually 22 different countries from Africa. So for the first time, you will have representatives of 22 African countries in a FIFA World Cup.
All right, so that was Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, talking after that Congress. We also heard from Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president, speaking about his re-election and also speaking a bit about Samuel Eto'o as well. Now we've got our guest joining us, that is Emeka Enyadike, who is a co-founder, Digital Sports Africa. Great to have you with us, Emeka. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, you heard what happened over there in Cairo, Egypt. What did you make of CAF's re-election, talking about CAF President Patrice Motsepe being re-elected as a CAF President, and also Samuel Eto'o, after all said and done, he has finally been able to win his case and also contest, and he has also won a seat?
Well, I mean, it's a very special day for Africa. We've had these elections in the past where sometimes it hasn't gone peacefully. It's been very a lot of intrigues around it. But what we've seen with this election today has been one in which it shows that for once there's a great deal of horse trading that took place before the election. And it seemed like something that people had already decided on who they wanted to vote for. Several changes were made to the rules, and what we've seen is a scenario where there seems to be far greater interest in people trying to get into the FIFA executive council than those who want to get into the CAF executive. So we saw with the CAF executive election, most of the candidates were unopposed. The president, Patrice Motsepe, a great leader that he is coming with low expectations, and he's somehow managed to stabilize CAF after all the political struggles when Amaju was there. And over the last 4 years, we've seen a great deal of changes. We've seen a lot more investment, and somehow, if we could get more people like Patrice, people who are coming from industry, who are coming in there because they want to serve and not necessarily because of the financial gains, which has been our biggest albatross in the past. But it's good to have Patrice go for another 4 years. My hope is that, in his new tenure, he'll pay more attention to club football, because he's also like a famous club owner, Mamelodi Sundowns. So we want to see the growth of African club football. The national teams, with more seats in the World Cup, there'll be more African teams playing the World Cup, but we want to see a lot more investment in club football in Africa. For the rest of the candidates, and especially that you mentioned, some of them too, that's exciting to have a former footballer actually get there. We've seen many in the past, like Kenga from Tanzania, who was there. He used to be the former captain of Tanzania. And then, of course, Kamisha Buela was a former player who has been there. So somebody too is following that trend. Hopefully, we will see a lot more. And I heard you guys discuss about the possibility of having one of the Nigerian guys there. In the past, we had people like Sheikh Wodegwami in the NFF board, and several other ones afterwards. But for CAF, the politics is a bit too strong, and Eto'o has weathered a lot of storm. I don't know if he's been very successful, because sometimes he's very, very polarizing and very strong-headed, but he's fought his way, and I think that having him there is a good example for what other African football stars like Drogba and more should. It would have been interesting if a guy like George Weah, who has served as president of the country, can in future even try and get in as the president of CAF.
All right, so that would be very, very interesting to see, because we have legends who have actually served, who have played the game, and to be beautiful to see them in higher positions running football in Africa. I've also got Onyewuchi Nwachukwu right here on the show. He has a question for you.
Yeah, Emeka, good to see you again. I think it was on this program last year that
Yes. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. My question is about the press statement from the National Sports Commission. I want to get your own view, especially the aspect that said that Amaju's undoing was the fact that he was no longer the president of NFF. And a lot of people have said Patrice Motsepe won the CAF presidency seat, even without being the president of South African Football Association. And when Dr. Amos Adamu won a seat in CAF, he was not the president of NFF. Do you think this cost Amaju re-election into FIFA Council?
No, I don't think so. I think that the NFF, and the National Sports Commission, everybody supports him in Nigeria, so it's not like it's a factor there. Amaju has done 2 terms. Well done to him. Not easy to get into the FIFA executive, so the FIFA Council, and for someone who has been everything from when I first met him, he was the Delta FA chairman, and then he became an NFF president, got into the CAF executive committee, and got into FIFA Council. That's a very big achievement, and doing there for a number of years. I had the opportunity of being within the FIFA circles with him for a few years, and I think that for Nigeria we should be looking at who next from Nigeria can be groomed to get into those positions. I don't see really we should focus our energies on how we develop the game in Nigeria. The politics of it is what it is. It is politics. You saw a lot of, he lost by a vote, which tells you that this was very, very competitive. I don't know if he could have won if he was still the president of the FA, because some of the people that won, sometimes I even wonder, Ahmed Yahya from Mauritania has gotten in there. Senghor from Senegal didn't get in. And then you have people like Waberi from tiny countries like Djibouti. You have the candidates that have gone in there, apart from Abu Rida from Egypt and Lexia from Morocco. Most of the other ones are just people who are very, very strong politicians. So we saw Commander didn't get in as well. And so, CAF politics has become really, really challenging. And for me, one of the biggest issues I have with African football generally is that we tend to elevate the politicians far more than the players. And this is one of the reasons why you find that there's so much interest in these positions.
Well, Emeka, I have a follow-up question to what you just said now. Before we came on air, Amaju issued a statement that he was assured of 40 votes. And between the assurances he got and when the election took place, you can't really fathom what happened. So what are the countries like Djibouti, Mauritania, Niger Republic doing better that a country like Nigeria regarded as the giant of Africa? Because I read a lot of comments this morning of people saying it was almost like a walkover, and that we have players who are doing so well in Europe, and it shouldn't be a problem for Amaju getting re-elected into the FIFA Council seat.
No, I don't think so. I think that we kind of mistake our football strength with the politics. The politics is very different. There are countries in Africa where the presidents, play a great deal of politics. There's a lot of intrigues there. There's the regional politics, there's the language clusters. You have the Francophone group. One thing you will notice with this election is, apart from Patrice Motsepe, who's the president from South Africa, an English-speaking country, all of the people who were elected into the FIFA Council, they're all non-English-speaking country candidates. And just so you know, there are 26 countries. Africa has 54 countries. And 54 countries means that you have 54 votes. And that means that you have 26 French-speaking countries in Africa, which is almost half of the votes. And for a long time, it was always difficult for people who were from those countries to get in. So then there's the Arabic factor, because countries like Djibouti and those countries up there, Sudan and the rest of them. The lady who has gotten in there, Kariza, where did she come from? The two candidates that she beat, Lydia Sakara and Aisha Johansson. These are very seasoned candidates. What I've seen is that there is some kind of feeling that some people have done, have been there before. Let's give others a chance. And then something happened last year. The CAF Executive Council and even the Congress changed the rules that allowed Abu Rida, who's above the age, to come in. And immediately we knew that he was going to be offered the chance to get into this thing. So there is the voting, then there is also the intrigues and the how would I put it, it's almost like political party within the circle. There were about 20-something presidents that gathered in Mauritania recently when they unveiled the FIFA Academy there, and there was always this talk about what happened in Nouakchott. So we've seen it with these elections. We saw it with the elections around when Ahmad emerged. There was some party in Harare hosted by the then president. So you must understand that we need to grow beyond this thing of Nigeria always feeling like we're entitled to something. We have to fight for it. We have to be determined there. And we have to also know why we're going there and why we need to have a candidate there. And if we have, some of the people feel like, okay, you've been there before, this is your turn. And then you must also understand that when you get into the FIFA Council, you get paid a lot of money. And sometimes in Africa, all they need to do is just convert the fee that they get to the local currency, and then they will do anything to get into position. So this election has been the most divisive, and what has emerged today shows you just how determined people are to play the politics, because it's become something that favors those who get into those positions. It means that for the next 4 years you are guaranteed some big pay, because the people who get into the council get paid well.
Right. Now, following the turn of events at that Congress, National Sports Commission Director General Bukola Olopade issued a statement and also showing support to Amaju Pinnick in as much as he did lose that seat. Now, we saw that quote on social media where he showed his support, saying a few things about the election, that there was a bit of hanky-panky, a bit of political game that was played to ensure Pinnick didn't get to win that one. But a part of the quote says, I am sure that if the cancelled paper was counted, just maybe we could have seen a 3-way 29 tie. And he also went on to say that we saw firsthand how the politics of only 7 chairmen of federations should and must emerge. But despite this, Pinnick lost only narrowly by 1 vote. That he also went on to praise Pinnick on his achievements in sports and all of that. And he did end by expressing love for Pinnick, where he says, my brother, my friend, and my compatriot, I love you and I'm proud of you, concluding that statement. Now, do you agree with Bukola Olopade saying that there was a bit of political play there to knock off Amaju Pinnick?
Well, I mean, Bukola was there in Cairo. So he's probably given his reading. But I would say that, let's give Amaju Pinnick his flowers. Let's give him credit for how far he's gone. And let's welcome him back. There are other ways in which he can continue to contribute to football in Nigeria. I don't think we should cry over split because this is an election. And the truth of the matter is that, we've seen it even with FIFA elections. Things change. You have to be on your toes. These things have to be there. You have to keep getting the assurances. But like I said, when the chips are down, regional alliances, sometimes also maybe we had too many candidates splitting votes from the the Anglophone axis. There has to be, some negotiations that get to a point where you can, for instance, all the votes that Commander from Zambia got, possibly if there was a way that there could have been some kind of trade-offs. But you had a scenario where some candidates in certain regions withdrew last minute. And sometimes we've seen it even with our PDP and APC primaries where some candidates stepped down at last minute. Some horse trading has gone in there and he's stepping down and asking his voters in a clandestine way to vote for whoever he struck a deal with. So these are the things that I think happened. And you see that the last 2 people who got 29 votes each, and Amaju got 8 votes. So maybe the vote that was counted, that was discounted could have been for him. Who knows? Maybe not. We saw in the voting for the 2006 World Cup between South Africa and Germany, there were 12 votes cast and 12 votes 12 votes were going to be cast for South Africa when Dempsey from New Zealand refused to vote. And if he had voted, it would have been 12-12, and Sepp Blatter would have had to cast the deciding votes. And I remember joking with Blatter some years ago and telling him that I am suspecting that you're the one who made that guy not to vote. And he started laughing. But how do I know? I said, because who stands to benefit if whatever South Africa that. It's you. Because if you voted for South Africa, you would have had to cast a vote either for South Africa, and that will get you against your German-speaking people, or if you voted for Germany, then Africa will not be happy with you. Then it's just like you're thinking a bit out of tune. So the point I'm making is that the elections have come and gone.
Right.
We have to keep learning. The fact that Amos Adamu got in and Amaju Pinnick got into the Executive Council, so the FIFA Council, is a step is a big step for Nigeria, because before them there was Oyo Orok, who was there many years ago, but it was always difficult for Anglophone candidates to get in because the Francophone people used to vote in bloc. And this you could see even when they do the African Player of the Year for many years. It was always they vote for the Francophone player against any Anglophone player. That's the dynamics. The fact that Motsepe is president of CAF is a miracle, because in the true sense of the word, people have to step down for him. Right. Senghor, there were about 5 or 6 candidates, who could have challenged him, and they would have voted en bloc if they all stepped down and they had one candidate. But at the time Motsepe got in, this time around, obviously with the work that he's done, I don't think anybody stood a chance. And I think personally, for me, I think that we need people like Motsepe, more people like him, who are self-made men, who are going to be going in there because they want to serve and not because of the money, because that has been the challenge we've had. All the previous presidents have always been accused of one thing or the other. But Motsepe, CAF, he has more money than CAF by several thousand times or million times.
All right, I will see how that turns out for African football, because all of this is just to keep on improving the game of football in Africa. I'd say thank you very much, Emeka Enyadike, co-founder Digital Sports Africa. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to having you yet again on the show.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much. We also have Mamadou Gay, who is an African football expert, on standby to also give us his views of what happened right there at the elections. Thank you for joining us today, Mamadou. What are your thoughts about what happened over there in Cairo, Egypt? Are you supporting the fact that Motsepe is re-elected unopposed? And also for Samuel Eto'o, what do you make of his appointment?
Thank you very much for having me all the way from Cairo. It was a quite busy day yesterday and today. Of course, when you talk of election, it's about lobbying and campaigning. Motsepe was re-elected uncontested. He was re-elected by acclamation. The reason is simple. Most of the FA presidents are saying that they are financially better off since Motsepe took over. You remember when he took over from Ahmad, the contract with Agadir was cancelled. CAF was in red concerning their finances. It was a lot of problem. Motsepe managed to overcome the financial difficulties by paying the debts and by now injecting new cash into CAF. And you can see most of the competition of CAF, the prize money were increased. Even new competition came in, especially with women football. We've also a lot of cash incentive. Even now, about 80 clubs in Africa, when they get knocked out in the preliminary of the club competition, they walk away with $50,000. It's a little money, but it never happened before. Even he increased the pocket money, double it of FA president, even the grant to the Football Association, and people really appreciate that, because most of our FA are in financial dire. Then it really helped, and they think that Motsepe having another term and that is even its objective, will try to bring in more sponsorship, more money in order to develop football in general in the continent. He's a businessman. Even when he came in his first term, the first thing he did was to donate 10 million US dollar in Ivory Coast. I was there, to school football in the continent, which is really helping our kid in a different school to play football. And I think people really can see more action, even though he doesn't have the material time to be in Cairo. And on top of that, since he took over, the salary of the CAF president is 30,000 euro. He never touched a dime from that salary. He gave back all his salary to CAF to use for CAF activities. Even when he is in CAF Congress or General Assembly like we are here in Cairo, he will pay for his own hotel. He will pay for his own food, for his own coffee. That is the man for you. He come to give, to contribute, not trying to take. And I think Africa is appreciative of it. That's why nobody dare challenge him. Coming to Samuel Eto'o, you remember Samuel Eto'o was banned and fined by CAF for being an ambassador of a betting company.
Right.
They say it's unethical, he's got no right to do so. Then, because of that, they did not allow him to submit
do we still have you, Mamadou? Oh, I think the network is a bit frozen there. I mean, Onyeochi, you heard the man speaking highly of Patrice Motsepe and what he has given to African football. Yes, the word give. He has always given. He's not the give me back type of fellow, as Mamadou Gueye has rightly spoken highly of Patrice Motsepe.
Yeah, and that's why he was returned unopposed, unacclaimed. And who is going to contest against such a candidate? You just had Mamadou Gueye said the first time he came to Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire, donated $10 million. So if you are an FA president from Cote d'Ivoire, out of the 54 African countries that make up a CAF, are you going to vote against him? Are you going to support any candidate against him when you have benefited so much from the generosity of this man who came to revive the fortunes of CAF? And you heard him, he has paid off all the debts that CAF was crisis-ridden, debt-ridden, but he came with his money, apart from injecting his money, he has been able to stabilize CAF. He has been able to increase, like I said, when the program started, all the competitions, the clubs, the countries are enjoying more money. So why do you want to vote a man that has brought so much goodies, that has brought so much dividends of football to the continent? Like they say in local parlance, the dividends of democracy. So how do you want to vote against such a man? Because the future is bright. It's going to get brighter. It's going to inject private sector sponsorship, and the private sector too will be very, very confident to identify with such a man. It's not like they are putting money into a bottomless pit, and that is what we have been clamoring for in Nigeria. Getting the right people to run the different sports federations in the country, so that they will earn the trust of the private sector.
Definitely. We've still got Mamadou. I think he's back now. And Onyeochi, you have a question for Mamadou before we let him go?
Yeah, Mamadou, my question is, I've been curious, the so-called unity, the stronghold of the Francophone countries, which you are one, you are from Ivory Coast. So how did you manage it that the Francophone countries are more united when they vote for the African Footballer of the Year in CAF politics more than the Anglophone countries? What is the secret?
But look, being inside working with CAF more than 3 decades now, I think that I don't really buy in it. And that's why I think it was a good thing they remove this language barrier dividing Africa. And if you look at those languages, we're talking Anglophone, Francophone. Who is Anglophone, who is Francophone? English is not an African tribe. French is not an African tribe. And I think those things don't hold. The reality is, like I can talk about this election. If you do your homework,
Fantastic.
Senghor, for example, is the first vice president, and there is nothing Senegal did not win in this continent. They won beach soccer, under 17, 20, Chad, any competition that exists at national level, Senegal won it. But today, in the election, not only he was a Francophone, according to what people say, he was the first vice president of CAF, but he finished bottom of the election. Why?
Right.
Because I've been monitoring this election closely. He did not campaign. He did not campaign. Everybody is shocked that somebody like Djibrila Pelé of Niger, a small country, Mickey Mouse of football, got 35 votes behind Fuzi Lekja. Why? Pelé was everywhere. North, west, south, east. I saw it in myself, and some of his campaign, I was there to see the reality. Then, when you go and visit people in their backyard, in their home, meet their family, their kids, do your homework, definitely they will vote for you. Ivory Coast is the same. My president, Idriss Diallo, is a Francophone. People always think that Francophones are stronger, united, favor. He did not campaign also. He was sitting in Cote d'Ivoire hoping that FIFA or CAF will favor him. There is nothing like that. You must go out there, campaign, and fight for vote. And
Definitely.
this is a clear example of what I am saying. Two top countries in Africa, Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal, failed to make. Then it's no longer about Francophone, Anglophone. Do your homework, perform very well, and you will succeed. Pinnick lost by one single vote. But to be honest also, the problem was Wafu B only had 4 candidates out of the 10. Wafu B. And when you take Wafu B, there are only 7 countries. 7. You have 4 candidates. You know that most of you are not going to make it. Because your lobbying, your vote, your approach to other zones will backfire.
Right.
Because you are 4. The Chartists pull out of the race today, but still they remain 3. And out of the 3, who did the best campaign was Pelé of Niger. He was everywhere. Everywhere. Even he hosted a big event in Niger, which I attended. Eto'o was there. He invited presidents from all corners of Africa to impress them with his achievement in Niger, the technical center, one of the most beautiful one FA can possess or own. This is the reality. Just to finish up quickly with the Eto'o saga.
All right.
After winning the appeal, the SG, the Secretariat of CAF, sit on the letter, because now they must give him a letter that he was cleared, now he can join the race. It did not happen. And time was flying. Eto'o decided to go to the Court of Arbitration. And the Court of Arbitration say, Eto'o, you are right. Not only they must pay the money for reimburse the money of your lawyers, but they must put you in the list. That was the case. And good fortune being with Eto'o, the president of Central African Republic that was contesting Ben. because he had a lot of wrongdoing with money in the past. Now, Congo-Brazzaville, that was also a candidate because of government interference.
All right.
FIFA banned Congo-Brazzaville, then the president of Congo-Brazzaville could not participate anymore. At the end, Eto'o unopposed, and he went through. That's what you could call good fortune. People to try to sabotage you, block you, everything, but you keep believing. And at the end of the day, he won. Today, he was elected by acclamation.
All right. Well, huge one right there for Samuel Eto'o, and of course, Patrice Motsepe being re-elected as the CAF president. I'll say thank you very much, Mamadou, for joining us today. Of course, we'll surely love to have you again on other issues surrounding African football. Thank you for joining.